Like, I'm tired, I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it home. And I'm just like, well, you made it all the way here for us to make it home, so how you not gonna be able to make it? Hey y'all, you seen the title of the video. Your girl is back again with another story time. If you're new to my channel, hey girl, hey. If you're a returning subscriber, I don't have to say anything because you know what's up. I know what's up. We know what's up. And that's on what? That's on what? That's on Period and Mary Had a Little Lamb. As y'all can see by the title and the thumbnail, today's story time is going to be about my first time going to a strip club. Y'all heard me? Did y'all hear me? My first time going to a strip club. Did y'all catch that? Because I can't actually say the word because, you know, we're on YouTube and YouTube is very family friendly. So I'm just going to say S Club for context. And if you still don't understand what I'm saying, that means you're probably too young to be watching this video. Y'all, King of Diamonds, that was my first ever S Club that I have ever been to. And this was way back. I was 21 years old at the time. Before I get into how I actually got there, who took me there, why I ended up there, how was my overall experience, I'm going to give y'all a backstory. So before we get to this video, go ahead and comment, subscribe. I don't know if YouTube is still doing the hype button, but if there is a hype button, you see a hype button, go ahead and hype me up. Hype me up because this one is a good one. So boom, if you are a OG on this channel, you recall, because I told y'all, I've been to Miami a few times, and every single time I went to Miami, I either lost a friend, almost went to jail, or was homeless. I've gave y'all all of those story times, and this was one of those times that I think this was a time where, do y'all recall that story time where I told y'all I had a homegirl that went on vacation with no money and we fell out on this vacation? This was that vacation. This happened during that vacation. I'm not gonna reiterate or retell that entire story. If you're new to the channel and you recently just started following me, I will link the initial video on how the spring break, the vacation was going before we even got to Miami down below. But if you are OG and you know that story time that I'm talking about, we're gonna start off on, I want to say at this point, this was my 4th day in Miami, and I told y'all at this point in the story time, her money had already ran out, and I was hanging out with one other girl, and I did not know this girl prior to going on this trip. I only knew the one person I went to Miami with, which was my homegirl, and I went with her man. That was another problem. Who brings their man on vacation, y'all? Her man ended up coming on this vacation with us, and then a couple of his homeboys came, and then a couple of their homegirls came, and we all had this plan to get a hotel together, get 2 hotel rooms together, and to carpool. I know that sounds like a disaster, but you couldn't tell 20-year-old Asia anything. At that time, I thought that this was cost efficient. I thought that we were saving money, and this was going to be the best way for us to experience Miami without spending a whole bunch of money. But I was wrong, y'all. Fast forward again, if you want to know the background of what was going on between me and my friend and how tumultuous that situation was, you're gonna have to watch that other story time. But we're gonna go ahead and start off on day 4 of the trip. By this time, me and my friend, I'm trying to hold our friendship together, and I'm trying to hold it together. But by this time, none of the girls that initially came on the trip at that time, they did not like me. Again, my friend was not liking me because I was putting my foot down. I was having boundaries about me not spending all my money on her. And then another girl did not like me because she thought that, I guess a guy that she liked had a thing for me, and she thought something was going on between us, so she didn't like me. And then there was a third girl, which was, we're gonna call this girl, let's call her TT. I'm gonna call her TT. Hey TT, if you see this video, because I still follow her on social media, y'all. So T, again, prior to this vacation, did not know TT. TT was a mutual friend of my friend. So I'm hanging with TT and I'm hanging with my girlfriend this particular night. And again, it's spring break. This is spring break Miami. So there's a week of events and things going on. This particular day, we were going to a club or lounge that was hosted at an art gallery. Don't remember the name of this art gallery, but they had an event there, and I remember we ended up buying tickets a few hours before the events because we were just trying to figure out what we were gonna do. We were planning this vacation day by day, y'all. So me and my girlfriend, we get ready. And again, at this time, our relationship is kind of rocky during this trip because she basically wanted me to be a sugar mama. She wanted me to fund her vacation, but she didn't want to speak up. Basically, I was noticing that she was only eating air and eating the appetizers that people would order or the free bread that restaurants would give you as a compliment to your meal. She was indulging in those things. So I was reading between the lines. And by the third day, I had figured out, I see what's going on here. You don't have any money and you feel entitled to my money. So by the fourth day, I was still trying to hold it together. We end up going to this party together, and also TT went to this party. I just remember us being in line at this party, and the line was just so long. And while we're in the line, there was this guy that just kept eyeballing me. We're gonna call this guy, well, actually, y'all, I don't even know this man. We're gonna call him Jamal. I doubt y'all will remember this man, because after this night, I had never seen this man again a day in my life. So we're gonna keep his name the same. So I seen this guy. I found out that his name was Jamal, and he just keeps eyeballing me. But at the same time, I'm not thinking anything of it. It's Miami. Everybody's outside. Everybody is trying to talk to people, engage people's interests. And I just remember being in line, and we're waiting in line. There was an express line where you could pay $20 on top of the ticket that you bought. But at the time, y'all, my money, they already had an assignment. My money was already assigned to all of my bills: car payment, insurance, phone bill. I didn't have any extra money. I actually was on this spring break with my refund. My financial aid check had hit 2 weeks before spring break. And I remember this was the most money. And don't act surprised, y'all, because I know now on the internet, everybody like to act so rich. They got money. And even to this day, I'll be like, damn, y'all 18, 19, 20-year-olds, y'all have motion. Back when I was 21, we didn't have no money. $1,000 was a lot. I remember this was the first time that I had, I want to say $1,000 in my bank account. Was in probably before this, y'all, but it was around 21. That was the first time I had seen a lot of money, and it was my financial aid refund check. And I remember at FAMU, everybody would get, a lot of people would get refund checks, and people would blow their refunds. I remember this guy that I was talking to, he told me that he was, what do you call it, renovating his parents' house. And he was sending them on a cruise. People would be doing crazy stuff with their financial aid, and I had no financial literacy at this time. I did not know not to be spending this money how I please. This money was supposed to be sent on school, but y'all, I was spending this money however I please. And at the time, the check hit 2 weeks before spring break, and I didn't even have money to go to spring break, but I thought God sent me a blessing. So I was just like, that's a sign. I had been praying to God, telling him I really don't want to miss out. I had FOMO really bad, and that money hit literally 2 weeks before spring break in March. So anyway, we're at this art museum or whatever, and they have a club event there, and we're waiting in line, and I keep seeing Jamal eyeballing me or whatever, and I'm in line with TT, and I'm in line with my homegirl. But remember, me and my homegirl, we're not really getting along at this time, and it's just weird. It's like this weird animosity. I'm helping you, but I don't know, it's kind of, she resented me for helping her. It was a lot that needed to be said, but at this point in the trip, this was before she tried to put hands on me, y'all. This was before any of the situation reached a peak. This was at the point where I was starting to feel the tension, but I was still trying to hold it together and make her feel confident or whatever. Make her feel like I'm not judging her. It's okay, we gonna rock it out. So we're in line. We finally get to the front of the line, and they scan our tickets. We go in, and immediately when we get in, there's a whole bunch of art, and then there's these solid, it was like this, they didn't have regular seats. There were these white, I want to say they were white stones where people were sitting on these white stones, and it wasn't a lot of people in there, and people were looking at the art, but it was kind of awkward because when I entered the room, I just felt like everybody was looking at me, TT, and my homegirl. So immediately when we got in, the entry ticket did come with a free drink. We went over to the bar, we grabbed a drink, and we started to look at art. And we started to mingle with people, talk to people. And while I'm looking at this art picture, I remember I was in the middle of taking a picture of this art. Jamal, he comes over to me. He grabs me and he's like, what's your name? I tell him my name, and he doesn't come off pushy or anything, y'all. He's a conversationalist. He's not only talking to me, he's talking to my friends. He introduced himself to my friend, and he introduced himself to TT as well. And it was kind of when somebody is well known or somebody has really good charisma, people just gravitate towards him. Immediately when he came over there and introduced himself to us, he offered us drink. He bought us drinks. I think he had got us a bottle, y'all. He got a bottle of champagne and he was pouring champagne up, and a group of girls followed after him or whatever. He had an entourage, but he didn't know these people, so he started offering them drinks, and we're all just talking in the circle, everyone saying where they're from, and we're just mingling, talking about what the plan was for tonight. So like I said, me and TT and my friend, we were just literally going by day to day. We would hear we'll be at South Beach, and then somebody would say, oh, this is going on, and then we would book the tickets. So we'd be like, okay, how far is that? And we would just try to make plans as we go. It wasn't like the whole trip was planned out. The only thing we knew is that we wanted to be in Miami for spring break. That was the only thing that was planned, y'all. We barely had a hotel room. Okay, we're inside of this museum, and I don't know how long we were in there, but I know we were in there for probably a good hour or two, because I remember at this point, me, homegirl at the time, we were doing good because they had like a photo booth where people were taking pictures, and me and her, we actually got like professional picture taken at this club or whatever, and we were in good spirits. And then I want to say her man called her or somebody called her and like her off or pissed her off, and she was just like, she had a nasty attitude. Like anytime we go to the bathroom, we have a system. We go together. If I leave, I'm letting her know, hey, I'm going over here. Or if I see her talking to a guy, you're not talking to a guy, and I'm not gonna be too far behind you. Like, just how we operate when we go out. But it was like anywhere I would go, she was not following me. Like, would not follow me or whatever. So I was telling TT, like, I don't know, like, I already felt like something was off with her, and I'm just like, I don't know what's going on with her. I'm not about to ruin my vacation because you don't have no money. That's between you and your bank account. That has nothing to do with me. So I was over it at this point. So I just remember at some point in the night, she ends up telling me that she was leaving. Her boyfriend was coming to pick her up. I don't want to say he was her boyfriend at the time. I think he was her ex-boyfriend, but they were still trying to work it out. And that's another thing. Why would you go on vacation with your ex? Like, y'all, it was a disaster. So she ends up leaving. Me and TT is still there. We're mingling with some of the other girls that we met at this art museum. And I just remember Jamal being like, y'all hungry? Y'all want to get something to eat? And I know I'm judging 21-year-old Asia too. The fact that you could have lured me in and kidnapped me with food, because I never say no to food, y'all. So I'm just like, yeah, hungry. TT's like, yeah, hungry. And we get in the car with this man, and keep in mind the way we got there, because my homegirl man dropped us off or whatever, and they were still in the area, but they didn't go into like art museum. I think they were just like, I don't know where this area was at. I know it wasn't too far from Collins Avenue, so there was just a lot of events and things going on. So I think the other guys that we were staying with like planned to go on the trip with like friends. It was a group of girls and guys, y'all, and I think they were around or whatever, and we probably just texted group chat, let them know that we was leaving, and it was just me and TT. So it's me and TT for the rest of the night. We end up pulling up to Friday, and I know that's just so random. Like, of all the places that you can eat in Miami, why would you go to TGI Friday? But I don't know why, y'all. I'm thinking it was because of what we had on. Like, we couldn't get into no nice fine dining restaurant. We couldn't, one, we didn't have fine dining money like that. And then two, I don't think that was the vibe. And then three, what we had on, like, remember I had on this black dress, and the boob part, like breast part, was, it had these cutouts, like little X's all over it, and then I had a mesh bra underneath it, and then I had my hair in a high bun, and I had a fresh face, and I just remember thinking I was so cute, because I remember that weekend I was the you could call me hair. Like, anywhere I would go, people were just like, hair, oh my gosh, you so pretty. Like, anybody saw me, y'all, they saw my hair, and then they would compliment my face. And I honestly think that entire weekend, that's probably why Jamal tried to talk to me, because a lot of the girls that was out there, and I know y'all don't think I'm being cocky or anything, but it's easy to be noticeable when you look different from everybody else. Like, everybody else had like downs, like this was the bundle era. Everybody had long hair, bust down, or they even had braids in their hair, and I was like the only one. Obviously there was girls out there with their natural hair, but my hair really stood out. I'm gonna look for a picture. I'm gonna post a picture right here. This is another reason why I think we end up going to a place off the Ocean Drive, because you could get away with pretty much wearing anything in those establishments. Like, you can have a swimsuit cover up on and they will let you in, but anywhere else in Miami, you had to kind of dress in a certain manner in order for you to get into certain spots. So that's what I had on. we end up at TGI Friday, and as we're walking up to TGI Friday, I think this is when started to have a thing for Jamal. Although Jamal initially approached me and tried to talk to me, but like I said, he didn't make it feel weird because he addressed everybody. He was comical and he was just very charismatic, and he was talking to everybody, y'all. So literally, we're walking up to Friday, and I see the line, and I'm just thinking like, we gonna be hungry for a minute. Like, they're not letting us in. All of a sudden, Jamal pulls out a stack of money. He starts waving the money in the air, and he starts saying, "I'm hungry. What the hostess? The hostess? Who's doing the most? Like, where the hostess at?" And he's like, "This money." He was like confident, y'all. And then he came off, thinking back, he was definitely arrogant, but at that time, I felt like it was confidence, because when he was waving the money, it took the hostess, it took her like seconds to find him, and we had a seat like that. And when I say I like surprised, we still got into this day, but then again, money talk. But I was surprised at that time because the line was long. Like, we couldn't even get to the door. Like, he was waving the money, y'all. We were probably behind 50 people in line, and he was waving the money like that. And then he came back, like, waved us and was just like, "Come on," or whatever, because the host had found us a seat. And I just remember walking past all of these and they were just looking at me like, "You ugly." Like we're mad because we were skipping them in line because the man had the money, so he was able to get us a seat. And I just remember the girls looking at me like, "Who do you think you is? Who the fuck do you think you are?" That's how they was looking at us, because we were walking past them and they were still waiting in line for probably about another hour. Some of them, when we left the restaurant, y'all, they were still out there. I think they ended up giving up. But anyway, we get inside the restaurant, and this is when I realized that TT, again, y'all, me and TT did not know each other before this vacation. She did not owe me any loyalty, and I did not know this man. So the man definitely was free game. But I remember realizing that TT was geeked over Jamal because I had ordered mozzarella sticks, and I only remember this is because the way she was eating them damn mozzarella sticks like irked the hell out of me. Like, you would grab a mozzarella stick, not just you regular, like you eat an appetizer, you just eat it. It's a bite, like you eat it, y'all. She would take the stick, hold it like a damn toddler, and she would rip it in half, and then the cheese would do what cheese do, and then she would start eating it like this. Like, she would pick it apart, and it was just like, it's 2 bites. 2 bites. Like, what are you doing? But she was doing the most with the mozzarella sticks. And then the way she was talking, and I could just tell that she was trying to entice Jamal at that time, because she was just like, "Oh, and you said that you don't live too far from here." He's like, "Yeah, I grew up down here in this area." But like, she was talking to him, and she was talking like the food. So I was starting to get the vibe, like feeling Jamal or whatever. So at this point, like I said, Jamal, he didn't come off as pushy at all. He wasn't really pushy, y'all. He was a cool guy, and he was talking to both of us like had known us or whatever. And I do want to that Jamal was 32 years old. Keep in mind, we're 21 years old, so whatever little game that he was giving she was eating it up. I don't remember the entire conversation, but I do remember her just trying to be super flirty with him, but he was able to like manage the situation and not make it seem awkward, because I never felt like a third wheel, or I never felt like, I don't know if TT felt like a third wheel, but I don't know, like, I feel like he managed the situation very well. Like, most likely he was trying to talk to both of us, but he was very sly and he was slick with it. Like, I didn't feel disrespected, she didn't feel disrespected, but I noticed that's when she was kind of him, the way she was eating them damn mozzarella sticks. So she ends up ordering food. I end up ordering a whole bunch of stuff that I did not eat, y'all. He pays his tab. I remember he ended up tipping homegirl. Like, everybody was happy. So we leave TGI Friday. Right outside of TGI Friday is literally Ocean Drive, y'all. It's this TGI Friday. I don't know if it's still there, but this, it was like the corner, and I just remember seeing the beach in front of us, and it's just a whole bunch of people. And it's so crazy to think that we thought that was fun. Like, we thought that was fun. We basically, I guess you would call it parking lot pimp. I don't know what you call it these days, but back then, I think you would call it parking lot pimping. Like, we're outside of the restaurant. There's a whole bunch of guys, and people are trying to talk to everybody pretty much. Y'all know how guys are. So everybody's in my face trying to talk to me. And like I said, that entire time, I just kept getting compliments. Like, I couldn't go anywhere without hearing, "Hair, you so pretty." Like, was just yelling, complimenting me every 5 seconds. And I also think this is why Jamal wanted to be around me, because guys, they want to be with somebody that everybody's trying to talk to. That strokes their ego. So I honestly feel like that's why Jamal was so enticed in trying to talk to me, because this is how I noticed, y'all, because when other guys would try to talk to me, he would do little slick things, like sitting outside the restaurant, because they had like some stuff. I don't even think we're sitting. I think we were standing. We're just right outside the TGI Friday, and I remember a few guys came up to me trying to talk to me, and one guy, I was giving him my time. I was indulging in a conversation with him. And keep in mind, so I'm right here, a random guy is right here, Jamal is to the left of me, and while I'm having a conversation with this guy, he would touch me, like go like this, or he would like my shoulder. And then when I would look his way, he would like away. Mind you, I'm in the middle of conversing with somebody else. Like someone else is asking like, how long you out here for? What you doing tonight? And then I would feel somebody like tapping on my shoulders. And when I would look away, Jamal would be looking away, or he would act like he wasn't tapping me or whatever. But I end up catching him doing that, because he did that to me when like 2 or 3 guys was talking to me. He would like to take my attention away or try to show me something on his phone. I noticed it or whatever. It was very subtle, but it was kind of like he did not really care for me to be talking to nobody else, at least when I was around him. So he did that one last time, and I was just like, you play too much. And he was just like, oh yeah, we probably flirted a little bit. After that, he ended up asking me like we were getting into what we were doing for the rest of the day. And I was just like, I don't know. And he was just like, my homeboy sent me this, and he showed me this flyer, y'all. KOD was doing like spring break event or whatever at the club or whatever. And at the time, I didn't even know what KOD was, y'all. I had never been to a S club before. This is my first ever time going, so I did not know what to expect. But he was just like, do y'all want to go? And of course, before I can even answer, y'all, TT was just like, we gonna be there. So I'm just like, you heard her. Like, we gonna be there. But he was just like, y'all gonna be around here, where y'all gonna be at. Mind you, y'all, funds was so insufficient that we did not even stay in Miami. We had a motel, y'all. We had a motel. I want to say it was in Fort Lauderdale, which Fort Lauderdale is like minutes from Miami, but we couldn't even like pack extra clothes and stuff. We didn't even have anywhere to get ready. Like, plan was not for us to go all the way back to Fort Lauderdale and then come back, because before you know it, that would have been an additional 2 hours. So what we did was like and like products and stuff in our bag, and we were planning just to go, because I wasn't the only, I had other friends there, y'all, that was out there during spring break, but they were with their other friends. And like, I don't know where people was gonna be at, but the plan was, it was like unofficial plan. Like, I had never spoken to anybody about this, but we were just like, oh, we can easily just go to somebody's hotel and freshen up and take a shower and get ready. Like, we didn't think this through at all. So I was just like, oh, we gonna most likely be out here. And he was just like, all right, I'm gonna pick y'all up. I'll text you or whatever. So I ended up giving Jamal my number. He also took down TT's social media, because I remember immediately after I gave him my number, she asked him for his social media, and we kind of just go our separate ways. And at this time, I honestly want to say we were probably on South Beach just pimping, I guess. Like, I don't know what you call it, y'all, but y'all know how teens were. I wasn't a teen then, but I was young. I was 21 at that time, and we found it entertaining just to be in each other's face. Like, there was no room, and we weren't doing anything but drinking on the beach and just talking to men. That's literally all we were doing, y'all. So we're just talking or whatever and mingling with people. I remember people had like speakers on the beach, so we're dancing. We're just having a good time. When you drunk, it don't really take much for you to have a good time. Like, your moods is gonna be lifted because you're drunk or whatever. So we're out there just talking to guys or whatever, mingling, drinking. And this was when, I need to file a charge to this day for Four Locals. I got so tore up, y'all. We had a Four Locals. Don't ask me why that's what we were drinking, but we were drinking Four Locals at this time. And then I don't know if y'all remember, I don't even remember the name of these bottles, but there was this wine. It was like this wine. It looked like a clown's wine. Like, a clown owned a wine company, this is what it would be. It had like a bunch of colors on it. The bottle was black. I do not remember the name of it, but it was very popular at this time. And we were drinking that on the beach, adding the heat, the sand. I just was sitting on somebody's towel at the beach, and my head was just spinning. So we're on the beach and we're mingling, we're talking to people. At that point, I was checking up on my other homegirl, but by this time, I think she was just out of it because she wasn't answering any of my phone calls, wasn't texting me back. I ended up seeing her like at beach or whatever, but like I said, it was so many people, y'all. I could not catch up to her. I was calling her because I was asking her like what her plans, what she wanted to do tonight. But at that time, she had completely blew me off. So I was just like, whatever TT want to do, I'm just gonna go with TT. So by this point, we're probably on the beach for probably like 3 to 4 hours. We end up finding one of the other homeboys that we were roommating at the hotel, y'all. He ended up getting extremely drunk. This was supposed to be the designated driver on the trip. We see him on the beach, y'all, passed out, so drunk. to the point where he could not take us, he could not find the car, he could not take us to the car. I actually think this was a time where he ended up locking the keys to the car. He was supposed to be taking us to the car. Somehow he accidentally locked the keys in the car. So at this point, I don't have like notes or anything. I remember him calling the locksmith people and them telling us, because the car was like parked by South Beach, so they were taxing for everything. They told him it was going to be like 500. It was a crazy number they told him it was going to be to get the car out. So I'm just like, I need my clothes, but at the same time, I did not have any extra money to help him get the car out. And I think T was calling. She was just like, we need to call Jamal. Let's see if Jamal can pay for the tow. Mind you, we did not know Jamal like that. So I was just like, girl, I'm not asking no man for no money to get the keys out. Like, it's never that deep or whatever. If anything, he will figure it out. He gonna sober up, because you know, when real, you sober up real quick. He will sober up and he will figure it out. So I wasn't really stressing it. Like I said, y'all, I was still tipsy under the influence as well. So I wasn't really stressing it at the time. So I just remember we end up going to, what's the name of that spot? It's the place with the Tuesday. It's called Tuesday something, y'all. They have like these really big drinks. We went there to go get drinks. And I just remember us kind of waiting in line. We end up bumping into Jamal, I don't know if he had left the area or not, but we ended up seeing Jamal, because that was like not too from the TGI Fridays. So TTC, she tells Jamal about the car situation or whatever. Jamal is just like, I got a homeboy, he'll like open it or whatever. And she's at this point, she's just like, I don't know where the car at, but we back to our hotel and get dressed, but our clothes in the car. So she explaining the whole situation to him, and Jamal is just like, y'all don't know where y'all gonna take a shower, blah blah blah. He was just like, my hotel is literally right there. He points at his hotel, y'all. It was like, y'all can go to my hotel and y'all can freshen there. And that's when she's like, we don't have any clothes, we don't have anything to wear. And he was just like, I can see if I can get y'all something, but that will be like, you know, whatever, because I just put my order in, so it'll probably be in a little bit. So I'm just like, I don't really care to go anymore. So I told him I didn't care to go anymore. When I said that, he was just like, nah, you going, we gonna find you some clothes. You definitely going, we gonna find you some clothes. Because the clothes that I had on, I had heels, y'all. I did have heels, but I had like the heels off at some point because I was like walking in sand. So I really just needed to shower. So fast forward, maybe like 30, 40 later, we finish drinking our drinks. We go to his hotel. We end up, don't judge me, y'all. Do not judge me. But we end up washing our dresses. We washed our dresses that we had on. Again, that black dress. It was a very little thin dress that I had. I think it was a store. What's that store called? Was it Wet Seal? No, Wet Seal. I don't know. I think it was Wet Seal. It was a little thin dress, y'all. We washed the dress in the sink and freaking blow dried the dress. We freshened up at his hotel, and then we end up going to KOD. And I remember us pulling up to KOD, like we passed club to like, where parking was set up. It was across from the club. So we like passed it. And I remember the line, y'all would think the line was a concert. You would think it was a Beyonce concert. It was so many people out there. So I'm already preparing myself like, okay, I'm standing in line. And I had on like 4 inches this particular night. So I'm walking with TT. TT is kind of like the way, and Jamal, he's walking, but he's not really close to us. Like I said, Jamal was a guy that kind of like, even when we were out there in front of TGI Friday, and even when we were at the club or whatever, a lot of people was coming up to him. He was from the area. I think he said he was from Homestead, y'all. He was like from the area, so he pretty much knew a lot of people. So I'm thinking he's like talking to, and we're just walking towards the club. As we're walking towards the club, I'm preparing myself to stand in line, preparing for my feet and my toes to be doing the crip walk and throwing up gang signs, because like I said, I had on 4-inch heels. So while we're walking, Jamal is just like, hey, where y'all going? And I'm like, the line. And he laughs and he grabs my wrist and he's just like, man, come on. So we follow him, y'all, and he goes directly into the club, y'all. We go directly in front of everybody. Mind you, when I say it was a lot of people. It was probably 500. I'm probably over exaggerating, y'all, but it was a line, a hefty line. And we walk in the club, and I think at this point, that's when I started feeling Jamal. Okay, man. And keep in mind, this is 20-year-old one, Asia. at the time. So I'm like, okay, he done got us into the spot. He done got us into here. Like, okay, we gonna get better. Cause at this point, I was already going through a lot with the home girl, with all the paying her stuff, trying to make sure I had enough money to do what the hell I needed to do on top of having to feed her. Like, this was the day I decided, like, you know, I've already done helped you enough. You being disrespectful. You're being very ungrateful. She wasn't of anything. It was kind of like entitlement. So at this point, I was just like, I know I'm not getting my money back from her. So, and I'm about to spend the rest of my vacation on funding your vacation because you went on this trip with less than $100 or whatever. So we get into the club. Immediately when we get into the club, I don't know what to expect, y'all, because like I said, this is my first S Club, but the music is playing. At this time, everybody was listening to the City Girls, like the hottest at the time. We listen to the City Girls, we're dancing and we're vibing, and we're like directly in front of the front door. And I don't know where Jamal went, but Jamal like went somewhere. Like for like first minutes, we're literally just sitting by the door and we're just vibing because we don't really know what to expect. And it wasn't like normal clubs, how clubs today where it's all sectioned up. They had sections, but it kind of felt like it was like a table and it was like module chairs. It was like 3 chairs to a table, and then some of the tables had like the pole. It was a pole, and then there would be chairs around the pole, and then there was this big stage where it was just like the chairs, and then it was just like the pole, but nobody was like sitting. And then they had like chairs lined on the wall, and then they had like, I guess the sections was at the top, but at the time it wasn't like what we know sections are today. So there's a whole bunch of people kind of just standing around, and then there's like multiple like minis of girls just dancing. So Jamal, he pops back up or whatever, and he's telling us to follow him. We end up going in the corner towards the back, and there was like this booth. I think it was T-Pain. It was some celebrity that was supposed to be there. It was a few celebrities. I know T-Pain was one of them, but there was another celebrity that I didn't know, but people were in the back like taking pictures of celebrities or whatever. And me and homegirl was just kind of, Jamal was like, your feet hurt or whatever. He ended up finding us a chair, like a single chair, and then me and Titi, we end up sitting in a chair together, and we just vibing. And a bottle girl comes up to him and she hands him $1,000, y'all. He had 10 stacks of $100 bills, and they was in ones though. So she gave him a whole bunch of stacks of money, puts the money like on the table in front of us, and I'm just like, oh, okay, we about to have a really good night or whatever. So he asked me and TT, did we want anything to drink? And he tells the bottle girl or whatever, and we put our order in with her. We end up ordering wings and fries, and y'all, are we sitting there and we vibing. And you know how you ate seafood outside, or if you ever tried to have a picnic outside, or you have something that's smelly and flies like swarm around, like they know what you eating, so they come and they just swarm in. That's kind of how with these girls. Initially, I thought these two girls, we're gonna call them, let's call them thing 1 and thing 2. I thought these girls were the bottle girls only because, not the bottle girls, I thought these girls were the dancers because how they swarmed in. It was just like, soon as money hit the table, y'all, I remember just talking to TT, and then I turn around and it's 2 girls in front of Jamal's face, and they like dancing in front of him. So I'm like, okay, these are dancers. Keep in mind, they had on like normal outfits, me and TT, but at the same time, a lot of people was dancing normal. Maybe it wasn't like a regular KOD night, y'all, because there was girls with clothes on, like not actual, but there was girls like some of my classmates, like people that I had recognized that went to fam, they were like on this dancing or whatever, and they had on regular clothes. So the fact that these girls had on, hell, we all kind of look, I'm not even gonna lie, like I told you, my outfit, it was this very little skimpy black dress, and then I had like the boob, like had like, then I had on a mesh bra. So you can't tell who was the dancers, who was the guests, because everybody was dressed kind of skimpy, y'all. But they had on these little booty shorts and like a little top, and they were just throwing it back in front of Jamal. So I'm thinking that these was the dancers, not only to realize that these was not the dancers, y'all, that the real dancers came out like 30 minutes back. But I didn't peep that until they came. When the real dancers came and Jamal, that's when he started throwing the money. The girls started like picking up money. One of them did kind of like from him, I could tell, because they were like really in that whatever they were talking. But she picks up his money. She starts like rubbing it with the girls. Me and T, we're drinking or whatever, and we're just vibing in this little area. And there's like men in my ear trying to talk to me, and man trying to talk to TT. And anytime anybody would try to get really close to me or TT, that's when Jamal would come over there. Like the strippers, girls, the dancers are right there in front of you, and while they throwing it back, you supposed to be lifting up a booty sheet, putting money on them, but you weren't about what me and TT got going on, because there was also guys all around us, y'all, and they was also throwing money. So Jamal comes and he whispers in my ear and he's just like, give me a dance. And if you want to not know nothing about me, you need to know that I do not know how to dance. Like I have, but I don't know how to work with it, y'all. I don't know how to move it. So I'm just like, you got a dance like right in front of you. He's like, no, but I want to dance for you. Trying to be like flirty. And so I end up dancing with him or whatever. Like we're in the club and he's like throwing all money like on me. Girls are starting to dance on me. And that's when I realized that these were just groupies, y'all. They all his ear. He the way she was on him. She was on him like he needed milk. She's rubbing down his head, rubbing down his neck, throwing it back on him. Now she throwing it back on me. Like she trying to do this train dance type of thing. And it just wasn't given because it wasn't given. I'm not gonna lie. It was given. So I sit back down and Jamal, he said he's gonna go. I don't know where he was going. He was going somewhere, y'all. Maybe he went to the bathroom. Maybe he went to go get more money. I do not remember where he went, but he was just like and watch my cash. There was still like 5 stacks like on in front of us, and it was really close to us, y'all. And it was also in a plastic bag, and then there was just like ones like over the floor. The other girls then she sits on TT's lap. She starts giving TT a dance, and TT is not feeling it because TT said the girls smell like fish fillet. So she was not feeling the dance at all. And at the same time, I don't know if they knew that we were not his girls, but we weren't going to throw any money on them. And then I didn't even know how that worked. I thought when you go to clubs, the men throw all the money, and that was like money for to keep. So the money that he was throwing on me, I was already on him because like I said, y'all, my bills already had assignments. So I was already thinking like, oh, I'm home with at least $500 or a couple $100 because he was throwing the money or whatever. But thing 1 and thing 2, they was thinking the same exact thing, y'all, because they started picking up the money, putting it in their boobs. Like literally the was on the ground. They're picking it up and they're trying to do it on the side. They're picking the money up, going like this, and then the money is falling down their chest. They're stuffing it in their bra and stuff. He with more money. And by this point, he's not at our table anymore. He goes to one of the tables with like a pole. They were dancing by us and there was like no pole in front of us. The pole was like adjacent to the area that we were at. So he starts throwing the money on the actual dancers or whatever. And we just having a good night. At this point, we probably was at that club probably to like 4 in the morning. At this point, I'm really tired. I had already secured one of the stacks, y'all. I had took one of the stacks and I told TT, I'm gonna give you half of the stack. You just have to hold the stack for me because I didn't have. I think I had a purse, but it was one of them little mini purses, y'all. The stack of money was not gonna fit in the purse. She had a we was young. She had a fanny pack, y'all. Now that I'm thinking, bringing a fanny pack to the club is OD, but she had a fanny pack. I agreed. Told her I was gonna give her half of the money. I took half of the money out of the stack that he told me to watch. I took half of that money, so I was like $250. I took that, and even then, y'all, I was not throwing that money on them dancers like that. I was throwing that money like my mama said, money don't grow on trees. That's how I was throwing that money. I was throwing the money like this. I was taking the money and waving it, putting it in between their outfits, whatever, and then I would go like I would $1 every 3 minutes. I know them dancers hated me because I was thinking like I need money in my account, so I didn't even throw the full $250. I had already put half of it in her bag, and then I think I probably threw no more than like $50. Then during that night, by this time I was already tired and I was over it and I was ready to go. And Jamal, he was trying to stay at the club, but me and TT was just like, we ready to go. And if he wasn't willing to take us home, we were telling him like, oh, we'll get an Uber. So he was just like, no, I can take y'all home or whatever. We told him, hey, our hotel home is 45 to an hour away. Like home is down the road. Mind you, the hotel that he was at, it probably was like 15 minutes Ocean Drive. It wasn't far at all. So he ends up taking us home. But while he on the highway on the way taking us home, he kept complaining. He's just like, dang, y'all way out here. Y'all on another planet. Y'all in the boongies. Like he kept saying, and I'm just like, I don't know, y'all. I was quiet in the car because like I said, at this point, it's probably, the sun is coming up, probably 6 a.m. in the morning, sun coming up. I'm drained, tired, literally just want to get back, to my hotel. I just want to lay down. I ain't slept all day. I've been outside the entire day. But he just kept complaining and I wasn't saying anything. And then so eventually, I just was like, yeah, we told you that. Like, we told you that we are staying in Fort Lauderdale. So he just kept saying that. And finally, once we got to our hotel, he was just like, what y'all finna do? I'm like, I'm going to bed. Like, I don't know what you think this is, but I'm going to bed. And he even was saying, like, on the way to him taking us to our hotel, he was trying to position TT and I and tell her, like, y'all know y'all can just stay at my place, I'll take y'all home in the morning. But we insisted on, like, no, we wanted to go home because, like, we was young and turned, y'all. But I'm not spending the night to no man house, definitely alone, to no one's hotel room. So he ends up dropping us off. And as, like, literally as soon as I get out the car, y'all, the door barely shut. Like, I could still hear the ring from the door shutting. He's calling my phone. I looked at the call or whatever, did not answer the call because, like, I just saw you. What are you calling me for? So TT was like, maybe you left something. And I was like, if I left something, I'll get it back. Like, long as I got the money, that's all that matters. Anything else that I left is cheap. I could buy it again. Like, it's not that serious. So we're getting up the elevator. He starts calling TT on Instagram. He starts calling her on Instagram. Of course, she answered the FaceTime video, whatever. And he's just like, what y'all doing? Where y'all at? And she's just like, we ain't even make it to the hotel room. I'm keep dying laughing because it's just like, what? Are you okay? So now, I don't know. They're on the phone talking. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I don't remember what they were talking about, but I just know I ended up taking my shower first. When I got out of the shower, she was still on the phone with him, and she just like, he don't think he can make it home. So I'm just like, what do you mean he don't think he can make it home? She's like, he don't think he can make it back to Miami. He's tired. And I'm just like, I'm tired too. And we don't, mind you, y'all, we are staying in a hotel room. It was a double, it was a suite, y'all. But we're staying in a hotel room. Not even a hotel. Again, it was like a motel. Don't remember the name of the hotel, y'all. But it definitely was nothing special. It was a suite, but it was nothing special, y'all. So it was like a couch in the room, and she was basically trying to offer him to sleep on the couch because he was just like, he's tired. And she was trying to like go along with it because he was like, I'm tired. I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it home. And I'm just like, well, you made it all the way here for us to make it home. So how you not gonna be able to make it home? Which, granted, y'all, I was kind of being harsh because that man definitely, I think it's dangerous to drive tired. It's more dangerous to drive tired than under the influence. So he probably really did need to crash. But I kept saying, like, no, you can't crash here. And keep in mind, there was other people that was roommating with us. Like, these rooms weren't, the room wasn't even in my name. So I was definitely not finna let him stay there. And then, like, where was the other people that we were rooming with? Where were they gonna stay? Like, it was just a hell no. So I kept saying no. And he was just like, you gonna make me sleep in my car? Like, I hear them on the FaceTime. He's like, she gonna make me sleep in my car? Man, I'll pay. So he's saying, like, I'll pay. And she was just like, no, you don't have to pay us. Like, you took us out. We had a good night. And he was like, I pay. He was like, what's the price? I'm like, there's no price. He cannot stay here. And I'm like, if he needs somewhere to stay, why don't he just pay to get a hotel? Like, I'm not gonna lie, they did have, a lot of hotels were sold out because, like I said, it was spring break. But at that point, if you willing to pay anything, you can go stay at a Freak Me hotel. They have hotel rooms in Miami that you can rent for like 3 to 4 to 5 hours, y'all. I did that one spring break, and if y'all know how that spring break went or whatever. But yeah, so he kept trying to find his way to stay in our room. It wasn't happening. So long story short, y'all, TT ended up going back out with him, and you know, she went back to Miami with him, and then I met back up with them later. But they end up doing the do, but he was trying so hard to trying to get me to go with them and try to let him, like, if it didn't work for us to go back to his hotel, he was trying to come in our hotel, and it was just a hell no or whatever. So after that day, I saw him that next day because, like I said, I met back up with TT and we went to breakfast. But after that, we had never seen Jamal again. But yeah, that's the story time on my first time going to a S club. First time, I had a blast. I go to S clubs occasionally here in Houston, not a lot. I haven't been in, honestly, probably over 2 years now, but we had a ball. But I thought it was so funny because at that time, y'all, I didn't know that you're not allowed to pick up the money. Like, I have now learned that it's against the law. Like, you're not supposed to be picking up money. Once the money hits the floor, it's not your money, it's the dancer's money. But back then, y'all, I did not know that, because not only but the girls that was in our area, they were also picking up the money. But I've learned that we could have got our behinds beat. Like, there's people that fought over people picking up the money. But at that time, y'all, that was my first time going to the club. I did not know that I was not allowed to pick up the money. Definitely, if I came to the club with the man that was throwing the money, I didn't think that was a big deal. But I have since learned that that's a big no-no. But yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see y'all in my next story time. Mwah.